So to help us recap that game and look at the rest of Week 16, we're going to welcome in our buddy Scott Pritchard with us here, pro handicapper in studio. I didn't realize he was coming in studio. Just absolute professional in every way. Big fan of your work. See you on the network with humans all the time. We'll talk about the Circa Friday Football Invitational in a minute, but talk to me about this game first. Your impressions of what Seattle did at the end, going for the win in overtime.
Well, I was here in a booth at the 50-yard line, best seat, world's best, largest sports book on the planet, because these folks will actually take a bet. Love Derek Stevens, Mike Palm, and everyone. Dustin here, of course. Oh, yeah. Everyone, the list goes on and on. But I have to say that congrats to the Seattle Seahawks winning a one-point game. But when they were down 30-14, for all intent and purpose, I thought the game was over and the division race was over. But what a difference a few 3-and-outs make, compliments of Mike Stafford and the Los Angeles Rams. But the fact is, I told my girlfriend once it was 37-30. Seattle, if they score, obviously they're going to go for 2, and that's exactly what they did, but it didn't mean they were going to convert. The good news is I had plus 1.5 with Seattle, minus 0.5, half off on juice. The bad news is I'm annoyed because I've got the Rams even money to win the division, and a 6-figure bet coming back on the Rams and the Niners in August. I've been touting the entire season at minus 160 to make the playoffs for the 49ers and minus 160 on the Rams. So that's winner, steak and lobster dinner, but don't count the Niners out because this actually opens the door for them. Going into this game, Dustin, the Seattle Seahawks, as good as they are, as good as they've been, had been winless against the Rams and the Niners. Their division record, not good, but winning today, holding serve at home. Don't want to overreact. Congrats to them. But the good news is they have the inside track for the division. The bad news is they have to go to San Fran last game after they lost handily at home week 1 to the same Niner team.
That is true. Scott Pritchard's with us in studio, pro handicapper at Pritchard Wins on X. Also great on TikTok as well. I suggest following him. NFC West odds. Seattle's your favorite, minus 135 after this win. Rams plus 270 and San Francisco's plus 330. When it comes to the Super Bowl, though, Scott, what do you make of this? After this game, Rams are still your favorite, plus 425. Seattle, your second shot at plus 475. Do you think it should be flipped, or do you think we're just arguing about peanuts here?
No, we're not arguing peanuts. We're talking this involves big money and strong opinions, compliments of me. Here, I bet numbers, I bet odds, I don't bet teams. And I have to tell you, there was a huge difference, my friend, between being a number 1 seed. You could have the second best record in all of football, but that does not mean much if you are a 5 seed, meaning you're going to have to go on the road once, twice, 3 times a lady before you even get to the Super Bowl. So I don't care if it's Seattle or the Rams as one. They have a distinct advantage. Even they cannot find a way to lose if you don't play. Getting a bye in the first round is huge. In the second round, you play a weak sister. And in the third round, you basically have to win 1 game and you're in the Super Bowl. The thing I didn't like about the Seattle Seahawks going into this game, I've gone on record many times as saying they're not going to win the Super Bowl because I had projected them to be a wild card team as good as they are. And here's what, stay with me on this, Dustin, because Week 17, they're on the road at Carolina. They have to win that road game. Then they're at the Niners road game. And then as a 5 seed, they're on the road. Then they're on the road again and again. 6 consecutive road games the Seahawks would have to win. But all bets are off because they won tonight. And so all they really have to do is beat a good, underrated Carolina team and then knock off the Niners last game of the year. And they're the number 1 seed. But I don't think, if you look at the Rams, Seahawks, take 3, I don't care where that game is going to take place. It's going to be a slugfest.
Yeah, and I kind of like McVay in another opportunity coming off a loss. What's weird, though, I mentioned the Rams are still favored in the Super Bowl. Seattle second, but in the NFC odds, Seattle's first. And I guess they're tied. They're both at plus 240. I'm sorry. They just list them in that order. Seattle first, Rams second. But they're both plus 240. Let's go to the AFC real quick because I think you've had a pretty high opinion of the Broncos all season, right? You've been pretty high on Denver and Bo Nix in that defense. And
I would have to be high to be high in the Broncos. No, I
no,
think
you
they're
weren't.
No, never have. They're overrated, overhyped. They beat the hapless, hopeless, coachless, pathetic, embarrassing, antique-led Raiders by 3 and miraculously by 7. So the Denver Broncos, they beat the Bears. I mean, they've had miracle win after miracle win after miracle win. So, but the bad news is, if you're anti-Denver like I am, they are going to be the number 1 seed. They are to be taken seriously because they do get to the quarterback. Bo Nix, not sold on him.
Same.
Certainly not sold on their offense, but they do have a distinct advantage. But are you telling me, I think the Bills are the best team in the AFC, and the only reason they've stumbled is because the only team, respectfully, that can beat Buffalo in the AFC is Buffalo. And they've done it 3 to 4 times, and here's why. When you turn the ball over 73% of the time in the NFL, you lose. And the Bills, that's what they did in their losses. Now they're behind the 8 ball. Even if they win Sunday and the Patriots lose on the road, the Pats still have the inside track for the division. So, but Buffalo as a 5 seed, not concerned, because they're going to be going to Pittsburgh, a team they just stuck it to 26-7 in Pittsburgh as they racked up 250 rushing yards against the Steelers. And do you really think Josh Allen and the top-ranked rushing team in all of football and the number 2 pass defensive team in all of football, Buffalo, do you think they're going to be that concerned about going on the road to take on second-year quarterback Bo Nix? So Buffalo, to me, best team in the AFC, even though they're going to be a 5 seed. Denver, overrated, overhyped, but they are going to be seeded 1, so you have to respect that, my friend.
Okay, I'm with you. I've been very anti-Denver most of the year because I don't trust Bo Nix. There's a level, though, with him where it's very Tebow-ish, where I don't think he's good, but he might be special. But at some point, that luck runs out in the post. You can't rely on these comebacks, all this drama late, and to play bad for 3 quarters and turn it on. So I'm absolutely with you. Scott Pritchard is our guest, pro handicapper, at Pritchard Wins on X. Check out all the information there. Let's talk about some games this weekend. You've got the Packers this week going to Soldier Field. Both teams dealing with a lot of injuries. No one ruled out, though, for Green Bay. However, Chicago is going to be without Rome Odunze, Luther Burden. And right now, Chicago is now the favorite. -1.5, totals 46.5. You want to go the other way with the Pack?
Absolutely. And I have, and I will, and I'll continue to bet it until they tell me no. The Chicago Bears, first of all, I'm not sold on a grown man who paints his fingernails. Number 1, I don't want to go to war with this guy. Number 2, I'm even less sold on their defense. We're talking about a defensive team that's ranked 27th, 28th in the league. Conversely, the Green Bay Packers are 5th in the league defensively. Defense wins championships. No, I didn't just make that up. We've heard that before, and for good reason. So the Green Bay Packers will have the inside track. Right now, it's basically a coin toss for the division, but not, in my mind, the Bears. They're a poor man's version of the Broncos in the AFC. They are like +20 on turnovers. And you and I know, as pro bettors and sharp handicappers, that you cannot predict turnovers. But the Bears, to go into a game thinking, okay, if we force 2 to 3 turnovers, we're going to win. Well, that's what they've done. But they've had a miracle win after miracle. They beat the Washington Commanders by 1, 25-24. The Raiders by 1. They beat the Bengals in the last 20 seconds on a 75-yard touchdown pass. So they have been doing it with smoke and mirrors. I do like their running game. I don't like their quarterback. Johnson, feel-good story, offensive coordinator from the Lions, now in the division, playing, being a coach for the Chicago Bears. He's done a good job, but let's see how he does on Saturday. I like the Packers to rebound after somewhat embarrassing themselves against an overrated Broncos team. I think it was Denver's best game of the season this past weekend, but that was then, this is now. Packers have beaten the Bears 9 of the last 10 times they played.
Scott Pritchard is with us in studio right now. Can you stick around for another segment?
Absolutely.
Do you have time? All right, because I want to get your thoughts on a few things. We have to talk about the Circa Friday Football Invitational. You're in second place. I hope you don't tip your hand too much with me. I don't want to ask about too many plays because I don't want the people you're going up against right now to find out what you're on and then go opposite.
I don't care. I'm an open book. You're chasing me, so good luck and goodbye.
See, that's why we have Scott on the show. All right, real quick, though, but before we get out for this segment, the Phillip Rivers thing. Playing quarterback, if we want to call it that, they took some money today. It's on Monday Night Football. The Niners went from 6 to 5.5, total of 46.5. You got to tell me, how are people betting Phillip Rivers right now?
They're not. They're simply betting the home team dog. They're betting a West Coast team on the road, indoor, on carpet. The Indianapolis Colts, Phillip Rivers had less to do with that cover last week than I did, and I don't play football. So can we get off the Phillip Rivers man crush idea here? Because this guy, if you're objective, and ESPN is not objective. They're not. They're trying to sell you this narrative that Phillip Rivers, old man River, is back. He's not. And he never was. The window, someone asked me today on a podcast, is the window open? It's like, it's never been open. It's always been closed. What has Phillip Rivers ever won? Nothing in 16 years. Now he's been removed, but they do have a good running game, decent coach, and a decent defense. But Phillip Rivers, he throws more like the late, great Joan Rivers.
You know, what's funny, too, is Phillip Rivers looks so bad, there's actual hope, a better hope, if Anthony Richardson returns for this team. They'll look better with him. All right, we'll do more with Scott. It's at Pritchard Wins on X, PritchardPicks.com. Scott Pritchard, pro handicapper. More of his best plays, week 16 in the NFL, coming up on the other side of Cashing Out.
Here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Back at it on Cashing Out. I'm Dustin Sweetelson. Appreciate you making us a part of your night. However, you may be tuning in, Sirius XM 158, YouTube TV, the VSiN Watch app, radio affiliates across the United States, and God bless America. We got Scott Pritchard, pro handicapper, with us in studio at Pritchard Wins on X. And we got to talk about the Circa Friday Football Invitational. If you guys aren't tuning into this on Friday nights with Matt Humans, it's probably the sharpest content that's been out there in over a decade. Guys like Scott, our buddy Chris Massero, Steve Fezzik, Chris Felica, people you know from the network, they go head-to-head with their picks. And I'm looking at the standings right now, and I know Chris Massero's listening, so I will definitely, if I hype you up too much, Scott, I know I'm going to get a text message. He's going to be angry, ask me which side I'm on. But you're in second. You're right on his heels. You are a game back of Massero. 64 points for him, 63 points for him. Talk to me about the season this year, though, for you. Like, what has been the bets that are consistently coming through that you're noticing?
Well, I feel strongly that last week's games are history and this weekend's games are a mystery. So I try to proactively wipe the slate clean, and it's a 3-hour contract. Nothing more, nothing less. And as I said before, respectfully, Dustin, I tend to bet numbers, value, odds way more than I would ever bet teams. But to answer your question, because I respect the question as I respect you, and I want to reveal some secret sauce to the viewers, is I do tend to lean on totals, college totals in particular. And then I also tend to lean on dogs, generally speaking. I do not go into each and every game thinking, okay, I'm looking to take the points. But it just seems at the end of all my time, energy, and resources to be tied up, ultimately there is a tendency to be on unders and to be on the totals, specifically unders and or dogs. Now, I've had really good success in NFL handicapping contests, but for whatever reason, man, I mean, I wrote an article, half page, in the Las Vegas Review-Journal just a few short weeks ago, compliments of Todd Dewey. He has me do it about 5 times a year, and I went 10-2 versus the number. The problem is in the Circa Invitational, to your point, it is a challenging contest because I'm betting early, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, or late, never between 10A and 3P each and every Friday. So it is the best of the best butting heads. Now, the good news is 2 years ago, the first year I was in this contest, I took third place, a half game behind Tony the Great Gordon, Derbify, who set a world record here.
He did.
Became an instant millionaire by hitting 70+% ATS versus the number. And then last year, I took sixth place, a half game out of third. So I'd like to say, as my cronies, my TikTok followers say, I'm the epitome of continuity and consistency. But you and I know, I've been doing this long enough, that humble pie, man, is a dish that is served. You're only as good as your last pick. You mentioned Chris Massero, one of the few guys I have not had the privilege of meeting. I do follow the dude. I respect him. I like him. And for anyone who cares, I like Alabama Friday against Oklahoma.
All right, let's get to that in a minute. I just want to talk general philosophy with you just because Scott Pritchard is our guest, pro handicapper. It's a real treat to be able to sit down in person. And we have a new audience joining all the time. We're on Sirius XM, we're on YouTube TV, we're on like 400 radio affiliates across the country. So there's new bettors all the time. You guys are being forced to place a certain number of bets each week in this contest. As a pro handicapper, I imagine you are not normally putting out that sort of output with that many bets per week, or you're kind of forced to do certain different things here. For you, when it comes to choosing how many bets you're going to place, are you identifying a number early? Is it just more, this is a situation, this is a spot, that's what I'm going to fire on?
Love the question. And Tony Gordon, a dear, dear friend of mine, success leaves clues. And as the late, great, or he's not deceased yet, Warren Buffett, the dude's 90-some years old, he has said, one of the top 5 richest guys on the planet, says your net worth ultimately is decided by your net worth. And so I've always gone out of my way to surround myself with sharp, wise guys, sharps, unfair advantage players, to where you learn from the best and then you ultimately beat the best and you hope to become the best. But in my, Tony the Great Gordon, Derbify talks about, and I love what he said, he talks about a process. What is your specific process? And you do not deviate. I get away a few months after the Super Bowl each and every year. I go to Thailand. And this will be the 12th consecutive time that that's happened, to clear my head, decompress, chill, relax, and get ready for next football season. But during the 5 to 6 month run from August, September until Super Bowl each and every year, my girlfriend can attest to the fact that you don't really want to be around me, because I am one focused, hardworking, committed dog. And I love it. It's lucrative, provides a great lifestyle, but it is a mind grind. Process, duplicatable, proven, focus with a capital F, concentration, no distractions, eliminate the noise, and focus. I love and respect each and every person, Dustin, in this. You're talking 25 of the world's best going head to head, and it is a dog eat dog cutthroat contest, and I absolutely love it. But the stakes are high. Everyone wants that green jacket, and Chris Piper, my buddy who's in this contest, he's currently 5th. He won the Survivor contest for $6 million. Now he tied with 4 others. He netted only $1.2 million. But he said to me a couple of weeks ago, he said, listen, if I should win this contest, I'll let you try on the green jacket. And I respectfully said, well, that's the difference between you and me. If I should win, for fear of you stretching it out, per Chris Farley style, I will not let you anywhere near that green jacket. But right now it belongs to Chris Massaro.
It does. Scott Pritchard's with us, pro handicapper, at Pritchard Wins on X. Find out all the info. Also, what's the website? It is pritchardspicks.com. Real quick before I get your thoughts on Alabama. Again, I like the philosophical stuff. You've been doing this such a long time. And for new bettors, again, we all go through lulls. You kind of hinted at it. There's a moment where you're going to have a bad week or a bad run or a bad couple weeks. I was taught from someone who taught me about betting, when you're not seeing the board well, you're only allowed to bet dogs. You can identify 1 or 2 dogs. If you like the dogs, bet them, but you are not laying the wood. You're not laying it with favorites, because that means you're just trying to sneak and steal a win because the number's telling you that team's going to win. What's your process for when things aren't going great and you lose a couple bets in a row? It's
pretty simple. It's 2 things: short memory, thick skin. As I said, and I live this motto, yesterday's history, today is a mystery. But I've been doing this long enough to know, in the past, your ego might get in the way and you think, gosh, I've lost 3, 4, 5, 6 games in a row. ATS versus the number, there's no chance that I could lose 7, 8, 9 in a row. Yes, there is. It can and it will happen. And when it happens to me, I simply say, okay, it will happen again. But I'll evaluate and I'll reevaluate, and I will. The big key is to not overreact. I've been doing this for decades. I laugh at the people on social media that they're the world's best. They've been doing this for 20 minutes. I've been doing it for 35 plus years.
And they only win, by the way. They only win.
They never post any losers.
Scott Pritchard's with us, pro handicapper at Pritchard Wins on X. All right, let's talk about college football this weekend. The playoff begins. We get started Friday. Alabama and Oklahoma in a game the market really can't decide who's the favorite. It hasn't moved beyond 1.5, though. Right now I'm seeing some shops have Alabama as a favorite. You know what? I take that back. Pretty much everyone now has Oklahoma to a favorite. It was Alabama yesterday, and now Oklahoma favored -1, 1.5, depending on where you're shopping. You like what?
Well, I like Alabama and for good reason. It doesn't mean I'm going to win, but I'm going to clip along at about a 55, 57% clip, hopefully long term. Short term, anything is possible. This is a one-game situation, a 3-hour contract. But when I look at this game, one of my betting philosophies, to your earlier questions, my friend, and I know how sharp and how smart someone is based on the level of questions that I get, and you ask 5-star, rock star, superstar questions. Scott. I'm telling you, man, because you provoke thought. And so when I look at Alabama taking on Oklahoma, ultimately you want to be on the move early or against it late. Respectfully, do I respect the odds makers? 110%. Anyone who does what I do, their job is a lot tougher than mine. They have to post sides, totals, money lines, props on each and every game. My job is to cherry pick. I'm not throwing darts at a board. I'm cherry picking, and I'm just looking for value with a capital V. So my job is easier than theirs, but it is a little bit annoying where you're limited and or handcuffed and rejected on a regular week in and week out basis. But the fact of the matter is I absolutely love Sin City, Las Vegas. I've been here since April of 1993. It's not my first rodeo. But to my point, on the move early or against it late, this game I'm against the move because you just mentioned yesterday Alabama was a small favorite. Today, they're a small dog. The reason I like Alabama in this one isolated game, it's a rematch game, Oklahoma won by a convincing, wow, impressed, 2 points. Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story. Most people make the mistake of only looking at the final score. To me, as a pro bettor handicapper, the final score is just another statistic. And contrary to what Mike Ditka would say, stats are for losers. Well, dude, I respectfully disagree because the fact is, we know if you turn the football over, you lose. Alabama had not one, not two, 3 turnovers in that game that led directly to 17 of OU's 23 points. Alabama also missed a field goal. In addition to that, they had 23 first downs to 12. And
we'll be back after this, Scott. Sorry, got hit with the hard out.